So please welcome Rhiannon Heins to the show. Welcome, Rhiannon,
Thanks, Ashley. It's so good to be here. Thanks for
all the
having me.
way from Australia at 6 in the morning with her babies asleep, almost getting ready to wake up. And I just am so grateful. And like we said before we started recording, we were supposed to record, I want to say like a month or so ago, maybe more. And it was a miscommunication and it was all good because I knew that my soul was needed to, it was like you were calling, like I was either, you were calling me or I was calling you. It was like this chord that I felt. And it was fine. And I didn't, the things happen and we have this huge time difference. So it's all good. But then now that I'm like really focused on you today in the last couple days preparing for this episode, it made me realize that the timing of this, where the world is, the even from in a month ago, we would have talked about, I don't know if I would have gone as what I want to do today, go as deep as I would have wanted to go, as I want to go to today. And when I see how everything is exactly in the perfect timing, that if people could understand, and I'm saying this as my little two little advice, Ashley, is always know that whenever something is canceled or you have to run late or all those little things that you think is an inconvenience, it's not. It's all perfect because we're all on this journey and it's all in the perfect timing. And when I learn from you and how things that you talk about mirrors my beliefs, mirrors my outlook on raising children, on the world that we live in. And I am so excited to interview you and so excited to uncover your magic. But I want you to go back because you were like in accounting, and I'm like, that woman's soul was not an accountant. Like, there's no way. I can't imagine watching you like do numbers and then explain like your trip to Bali with your mom and how you met your husband and broke up all that. Like kind of can we go there? Because I think when
Yeah.
people understand because you're so deep into this, your intuition and I mean the channeling your book. I mean, I can't wait to talk about that. But your programs, they would look at that and go, "Oh, she's, been doing this. She lives in Australia. She's probably in past lives, she's been a shaman." And, but there's so many things that is so cool when you realize when someone uncovers their magic and sees like, oh, this is where I'm going. This is what's calling me. I'm being pulled. And this is all the most amazing little breadcrumbs that you were picking up all along the way. So take
Mm,
it away, Rihanna.
yeah. Thanks, Ashley. And yeah, to mirror back what you just said about, the miscommunication and it being a month later. Also, I've been on a journey in that month of writing a new book. And this new book, I just kind of write and see what comes. And it's taken me down like a rabbit hole of my own consciousness, where I'm meeting so many new layers of depth within myself and the world around me. So the timing also for me is perfect because I would have spoke about something different a month ago too.
Huh.
So yeah, perfect. And
Love it.
yeah, so when I left school with epic grades and a very excited, my mum was always like, do whatever you feel, but my dad was too, but also he just believed in me, he believed in my smarts and he believed in that I could do anything. And my family are actually from London, so if you can hear, like, it's my accent's not Australian, it's not English. My family are from London. I'm from like a super working class background, so like when we lived in London, we lived in poverty. Well, not poverty, but like I remember asking for money. I felt bad as
Right.
a child. So for my dad or my mom being an accountant, like having a university degree and having the capacity to earn good money was like, wow, what an amazing achievement. So I kind of had these messages drip fed through my consciousness as a child. And even though my mom and dad didn't say things like that out loud, it was just the programming that I existed within. And so, yeah, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go be an accountant and then I'm going to make good money. I'm going to get a great shiny house and a mortgage and it's going to be the dream. And when I was little 17-year-old me, I actually got like a scholarship from this accounting firm. They bought me all these clothes and these textbooks, and I had a job in an accounting firm at age 17, like my first semester of uni, unheard of.
Wow.
And I just remember sitting in this desk looking at everyone, being like, where the fuck am I? And um, at the time, I remember I would go down, like walk down and stand on the busy main street of the CBD, like of the center of the city. And I would start smoking and like really drawing in the smoke, like the nicotine. And anyone here that's ever smoked, if you're new to smoking, that rush that you get from the nicotine, it was just like, because I just wanted to feel something, just to escape that prison and just feel something. So it didn't take me long to leave that. That was like a 6-month journey.
Oh, oh, wow.
Yeah. And then by the time I was still a teenager, I was in a like natural college studying bodywork. So it was a quick turnaround. And from that moment of leaving the accounting and realizing, okay, that matrix is not for me, I kind of entered a matrix of my own making, which was on the fringes of mainstream, but still very much in a prison of my own mind, doing body work and still getting the mortgage, still doing life in that way. And everything significantly changed for me in a moment in time when I was 26. So I'm 34 now, but when I was 26, everything changed in a very big way. So at age 26, I was in a relationship with a man who was actually my boss. And I had got a job at a lecture, like a sports massage college. And I was a lecturer for remedial massage. So I was probably like the youngest lecturer ever. But I was working in the sports college lecturing in remedial massage, and it was like a very work hard, play hard atmosphere. It was a very young team, and we would work these long hours of all these classes and then go out to these clubs and just like go wild. And I just loved the feeling of drugs. I just loved the feeling of connection. I just wanted to I just wanted to speak with everyone like as deeply as I could. I wanted to feel the pulse of everyone. Like I just wanted depth and depth and depth. And I was also like deeply on this journey of unlocking these psychic gifts and playing with tarot cards and listening to these voices. But the danger was I was not doing anything to protect my energy. I was living this very chaotic life of partying, but also like becoming so activated psychically and spiritually. And I feel like both had to happen because the partying and the drugs kind of opened my heart and and also activated so much shame within my body and so much self-loathing that I needed to feel to break free. And so like this cycle had to happen, but it got to the point where the partying and that relationship that I was in, which very much supported that, had to end. And it had to end. And it really did very abruptly. Because my mom, she was like, Rihanna, let's go to Ubud. So Ubud is the spiritual kind of Mecca in Bali. She was like, let's go to Ubud and we'll do juice fasting and at the time, like I was into my health, believe it or not. I was like a roller coaster of fasting and partying and I was like, yeah, let's do that. But I think my mom just wanted to pull me out of the toxicity that she could see. So we went to Ubud and we were drinking juices and we were doing Kundalini yoga and we were doing vinyasa and we were doing the sound healings and the kirtans and we were just having a great time. And I really connect with my mom so deeply. And then one day I walked out from my kirtan that I went to on my own and we were at the yoga barn, which is just like this big, amazing beautiful yoga space in the middle of Ubud. And I saw my mum sitting at a table at a juice bar with this guy. And I walked over, and my mum was just, she's so chatty, like she will make small talk to anyone. And I just went and sat with them. And this guy, like, he looked at me and he was like my mirror. He literally looked like me. And he looked into my eyes, and I was like, who is this man? And we started to talk, and the synchronicities were insane. Then my mum became the third wheel, and me and this guy were just like, we could not stop talking. And the next day, I said to him, like, tomorrow morning, I'm going to Kundalini yoga at 7 a.m. And he was like, oh, Kundalini's not my vibe, I'm more of a power yoga kind of guy. I was like, okay. But there he was at 7 a.m., a room full of white, a room full of everyone in their whites. And he was in his like black and gray. And I was like, hey, anyway, we hung out for the whole week, me, Scott, and my mum. And I was playing with energetic boundaries for sure, but very aware that I had a boyfriend. And I told Scott I had a boyfriend, but like something was there and we were just like addicted to each other's presence. And we really did like fall in love because we were just obsessed with being in each other's company. Like it felt so brand new and so explosive, but at the same time, so ancient. Like I'd known him forever. And after the week in Ubud, my mum and I were going to go meet my dad and my boyfriend at the time. They were going to come to meet us at a different area in Bali where we were doing like a normal holiday experience. So mum and I got in the cab, we went to this other hotel. Then my dad and the guy, the boyfriend, they arrived and my heart just like dropped. I was like, oh, yuck. Like, this is not it anymore. And
Oh,
I told him, I was like, I've met someone and I think he's the one, but like literally nothing happened. And he
right.
was like, I brought a ring. I asked your
Oh.
dad if I could propose. I was like, I'm sorry, you got to go. And I sent him home. I contacted Scott. I was like, I'm coming to find you. And we did. And then it got hot and heavy real fast. And 5 weeks later, I was pregnant.
Oh, funny. I love it. I love to, it's like, the feeling of when you say, because I've been listening to you for a few days, when you say the minute you trust and the minute you surrender to knowing and to not and to follow those like what we talked about at the beginning, to follow that intuition and saying to instead of saying, well, I better he brought a ring, I can't hurt his feelings, but to think of what when you took that Y in the road and you veered to Scott, knowing that that was the what was pulling you, and how many people stay on the other Y because they are so living in fear and thinking they have to do all the things that they've told people that they're going to do. What courage, what at that moment, but explain to people that because you talk about the minute you start trusting and surrendering and how powerful that in life shows you when you start to do that, the magic that life is going to is wants to show you,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, it's like as a as a psychic channel, like I get so many messages all the time, like in my consciousness. But the ones that relate to major life changes go this way, the fork in the road. It doesn't for me come as a vision or a message. It's just the ache within my guttural being of misalignment becomes unbearable. And I know that this is the case for everyone, actually. We get messages about it too, but when something doesn't serve us, it doesn't feel good to the point where it's like, ugh, it's like sickening, you know? And when we have that sickening feeling, that is the feeling like you gotta move on. You gotta make change. But what most people do is they try and sedate that guttural sickening feeling. And the sedation was, in my case, partying, escapism. Or for others, it's the scrolling through the phone or the watching TV. But when we just take notice of it actually hurts to be here, and we stay present and remove all distraction, then the feeling doesn't go, it stays. And the feeling moves us spontaneously when there's no distraction. And so when I was picked up from my toxic living environment and plopped into like a juice fasting yoga environment where there were no distractions, the nauseating feeling of misalignment, it got stronger and stronger and stronger until the moment my ex arrived and it slapped me in the face, and I literally, his touch, he's a nice man, but his touch, the feeling of the misalignment was just like, oh, do not touch me, you know?
Wow.
That was how attuned I was because there was no sedation.
Right.
And then when we're not sedating ourselves, it actually requires not that much courage because the feeling of the misalignment is so strong. It naturally moves us forward, and we have no choice but to step into the fire of our fears. So that will happen organically. But the real question is like, can we stop sedating ourselves so that we can feel the truth of our essence? So our natural body knowing can propel us forward to where we need to go. And of course, yes, there will be fear in doing that. You know, is Scott going to love me? Is he even the one? Is this going to work? Am I going to be homeless? All of
Right.
those things. But all of those questions become so small and trivial compared to the feeling of the ugh, the ick within the body with the misalignment.
Right. When you explain, like learning your intuition, like people understanding that we all are so tuned, tuned into our spirit, our soul, and to be aware of that alignment. How do you explain? Because you teach a course for people, Intuitive Rebirth, and when I'm looking at that and I'm seeing when I think about me and my intuition, it's a knowing, like you say, like it's in my I know, and it's a practice too. As I've gotten older, and even as a mom with my daughters, like teaching them, when you're with people and it doesn't feel right, trying to tap into your intuition. Will you explain what really sparked in you to really go hone in on that actual word, and how you went into people need to see that they all have this no alignment with their soul when they know to take the left or the right in up on the in the road.
Hmm. Well, this is what we're born with. As souls, we incarnate into this reality with our own sacred mission of remembering the eternal truth that we are. And it doesn't matter how that mission is expressed, but ultimately we are all learning and remembering the eternal truth that we are. And that mission expresses itself incredibly different for every individual. That mission could be expressed as being the most devotional mother, or expressed as hosting a podcast, or expressed as being an architect, or whatever, it expresses itself differently. But we all are here for a sacred and unique reason. And this physical incarnation has so much to navigate, so many emotions, so many different options, so many multidimensional di- uh, so many multidimensional kind of dynamics to navigate, right? So it's hard. So as if as souls with a specific sacred mission, we're going to be dropped into a paradigm where we're all on our own. It's just not like that. We're dropped in with a compass, an innate way of navigating the incarnation to find ease in remembering the eternal truth that we are. And this inner compass is our intuition. It's not something that we even need to cultivate or grow. Like that word implies it's not there or it's not powerful. It's powerful and very present in everyone. So it's about knowing what it actually is to be a human being here on earth, coming here with a sacred mission, with an innate compass that helps to navigate it. So that remembering of why we're here helps us to realize what intuition actually is, the higher reason that we have this innate compass. Because, yes, it can express itself in these magical forms of receiving visions and doing the tarot and whatever it is. It's all fun and play, right? But ultimately, we're here to navigate this incarnation in our highest trajectory. So, as we remember that, all of the different ways our inner compass speaks through us start to really amplify and we start to notice them more. So the whole reality that we're experiencing is just a series of symbols, signs, and incredible mirrors of our own internal processes. Everything that we're seeing now is just reflecting back to us what we need to know to stay on the right path. The song that comes on in the perfect moment, the clock radio that keeps showing you 11:11, or the rush of energy, the rush of like goosebumps, when someone shares a piece of information with you, or the deep knowing that lands in your body as you're driving your car. Like, it's all intuition and it's all speaking to us all the time so we can stay attuned to our highest path. So the big thing that stops us from being attuned to the miracle of this compass that's always there is we think or we believe that we're just not that magic, that life is linear and we're all alone trying to navigate just this life. And when we believe that, we start to perceive a reality that reflects that. And it does seem like we're all alone, It
Hmm.
seems like we're all alone. Despite the clock radio showing 11:11, despite the song playing through the radio, despite the rush of goosebumps, that person perceives they're all alone and therefore they are. But their intuition, their inner compass never stops speaking to them. So the first thing I teach in intuition is literally this. You're already it. Just open your eyes. You're already getting the messages. When are you going to start listening? So that is the first step. But then we can really dial it up a notch. And we do that by learning to navigate this life through our hearts. Most of us are navigating our lives through our minds, right? With these chaotic thoughts and chatter, thinking, 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 running these stories, and just in this dreamland state where we're barely even present. But just as a simple technique, right? Like, if you put your hand, if you're listening to this, as you're listening, if you put your hand on your chest, right? And then this point at the front of your heart, like, that's not it. Imagine you can trace that back inward, 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 inward into the inner depths of the cavern of your chest, right? In. And now attune to that. And once you're there, you can kind of forget about your hand because you're in. And then imagine or feel or sense that at the center of that space, there is a space where you can draw in air like a nostril. Inhale there, exhale there. And now you can breathe into your heart. But now let go of that being just at that one single point. Drop your hand and feel the air that goes in and out of that center point. Now you're in your heart. When you're in your heart, you can't be in your lower mind. When you're in your heart, you're connected to the truth and you're actually opening your receptive God mind, receiving messages, attuned to, like you're describing with your girls, feeling the truth of the surroundings if people or places are not a good vibe. When you're in your heart, you know. So unlocking your intuition is literally just about knowing that I already am that and getting out of your mind by anchoring in your heart. So for me, uncovering that truth was just realizing, oh my goodness, how looked after am I to be plopped up and put in this environment that changes my life? There's nothing to worry about. There's something orchestrating this whole miracle for me. All I got to do is let go of the reins. So remembering the magic of creation. And then when I get a bit confused, oh my God, what's going to happen? Da, 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 da. Just be in that sacred heart space.
Oh, I love that. I went somewhere. I'm staring at the thing and I'm like, oh my gosh. Um, Even the breathing part, when you say to breathe through your that area, that's even takes, it's almost like a meditate, like I have that visual of that. So thank you for sharing that. So you wrote a book, you channeled a book, The Keepers of the Light Codes. And,
Yeah.
I'm into like light codes, light language, all the things, and I know you are too. Can you just kind of give it, because I know this book kind of came to you, and I think your babies were little, and when I was listening to you say that you wrote this book, I'm like, wow, she really wrote this book while she was with these tiny little babies like running around.
Ye-
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the book just came through me. And at the time when it came through, it was a wild time, definitely like the trenches of motherhood because I had a 2-year-old and a newborn.
Oh, wow.
So it was like I was in it. And but for me, connecting and channeling and writing is no greater joy. So that for me is not like getting on my computer and doing work while mothering. That's like, oh, I'm home.
Uh,
Yeah, so with my little babies, trying to tee up the nap time, I remember was like, okay, the car is where the magic happens. So every day I would go for these car rides, and when the kids both fell asleep for the sacred like half an hour of silence, I I live in a really beautiful area, so it's easy for me to find a car park full of trees and or the ocean. And I would just sit and I'd get out my phone and open Google Docs and just close my eyes and literally do exactly what I just described, where I just drop into my heart. And then I would just write what came through. And that's how the Keepers of the Light Codes came to be. And I must admit that at the time when I channeled that, it was beyond my consciousness. So
huh.
I would write whole chapters and I would reread it and it would push the boundaries of what I knew to be true, because I would write and channel about the mastery that we all are, that everyone is a master. Everyone is a master. And that our perception of ourselves inhibits that. The perception that we need to heal or change or transform inhibits the recognition of our mastery. And as I would reread what I was writing, I would be like, oh, that makes me uncomfortable because some people are mean, some people are traumatized. And I would bring up these layers of resistance to what I had written. And then, like I would channel a process to help unravel the resistance to that ultimate truth. And so the
Wow.
channeling of that book rewired my consciousness to see the perfection in all of us. And the book itself is the journey to not just reading and listening to that information, but to embodying and holding that within your body.
And it's 9 chapters and then 28 lessons.
Yeah, do you know what? I actually can't even remember the specifics of the numbers.
Oh, funny.
But but they're very short, and each one is just like plucking at the fabric of our rigidity and our perspective of self. So they're these short little lessons with these short practices, and it's super easy to read because they're just short. And and yeah, it's a really beautiful, gentle journey of rewiring our perspective. And I think it's so needed at a time when everyone is trying to be better. Everyone is trying to heal more, to grow more, to become more ascended, to escape incarnation and never have to come back, like these ideas. And actually, what that creates is a separation between our whole realized, embodied light master self and who we are now. When we're on a healing journey, then that implies that we can never be healed and whole now because the journey implies point A and point Z, right?
Right. So good.
So what happens is when we attune to our infinite whole self, the essence of self that is eternal, the essence of self that has no one to become or no one to be, when we attune to that essence and we remember that and we flood that through ourselves, what happens is that that light, that love, it doesn't bypass the trauma. It doesn't bypass the the lower energies and lower aspects of self. What it does is it actually illuminates them. And we get sort of a fast tracking of this shadow aspect being exposed and transformed because the light that we are exposes and reveals everything. And when we anchor fully in that true, whole, realized version of ourselves, we can't hold on to or suppress or keep in the shadows any aspect of self that doesn't serve. It all comes up.
Oh, just watching you talk, like I'm like in a trance. Um, you had a lot of deep experiences with ayahuasca and DMT.
Yeah.
Are those moments in your life that you look at as like uh, more layers of your soul uncovering, like
Yeah.
peeling the onion? Like, is that? Can you explain your experiences?
Yeah. So I've never had a teacher really. I mean, I trained in remedial massage when I was a teenager, and I've done different courses along the years in tantra and breath work and whatever. And they've all had an impact in my life and yoga. Um, but no one has ever taught me about somatic trauma release. No one has ever taught me about psychic development. All of those aspects that I share now that come from my fully authentic state have arisen through my own learning of those truths within my own body and within the clients that I serve. But there is one teacher that I credit so much to, and it's not a human teacher. And it's the spirit of Mother Ayahuasca because ayahuasca, yes, is a chemical compound, but there's a presence of wisdom that orchestrates those journeys, and she is very real. And anyone that knows, have you done ayahuasca?
No, I haven't. And I'm always
Yeah.
like, when I used to have like, I came home one day and said to Richard, I'm going to go to Rhythmia and do ayahuasca. And he's like, what? You've never even done drugs. I go, I know, but it's calling me. But I haven't gone.
Yeah. I mean, she's no drug, you know. She's the meeting of magic within your
Right,
within your being. So it will she will call you when the time is right,
right,
but it's like we can't rush these things. It just happens at the perfect moment, like our
right.
chat.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, but she has taught me the the deepest aspects of my work. So things like my psychic development, things like my knowing of how to move energy on the through the body, I learned that on my own, you know. But the more I work in this realm, the more my work has gone towards entity clearing and working in the deepest realms of sort of demonic infiltration, right? That's where I personally work as a healer. And the only way that I could have ever been trained for that in my reality is through my experience with ayahuasca. So I don't know how many ceremonies I've done, but it's probably close. I don't know actually. Uh, teen, teens or 20 maybe
Oh,
around.
wow, that many.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot. And my husband has had way even more experience with ayahuasca because he went to the jungle and sat in silence for 6 weeks in a hut and did so like 16
Wow.
ceremonies over a 6 week period in a silent dieta. Like,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, so we're a real medicine family here, right? And what she's showed me through some very intense journeys is fear, like fear. fear, fear, fear. Like, I, quite a number of my journeys, I've just been flooded with fear in to a degree that I've never known in my waking experience. Like a fear that is almost going to kill me, right? Like just laying in this journey with just fear, like pulsing, just like get me out of here.
Wow.
And images of horrible demonic faces just like coming at me, coming at me, coming at me. And the first time this happened in a journey, I was like, I am never doing ayahuasca again. This is the most horrific experience. But but she was training me of what to do when in the presence of something that terrified me. She trained me how to do this. And I learned that with fear, I can access my heart underneath the fear and the true nature of who I am, which is just love. And once I could, despite the fear and despite the presence of these horrible shapes and figures, when I could reveal that essence of pure light that I am and breathe it, then it floods all through my body and expands infinitely out from me because I am infinite. And that fear cannot exist in my presence. And in fact, those demonic frequencies cannot exist in my presence. And in fact, the love and the light of my presence alchemizes and transforms the demonic frequencies. So, journey after journey, it's like I've been trained to alchemize fear by alchemizing all of my own fears. And Mother Ayahuasca, has trained me to do some of the most intense shadow work or help others with some of the most intense shadow work that is available to us here in this earth dynamic because, the movie The Exorcist, that's real. That's real. And that's a realm that I work in at times.
Huh.
And the only way I can work there is by looking square in the eyes of the dark presence that weaves into the fabric of human beings and to hold that in so much fearless love that those energies are freed from the person. Yeah, and I definitely couldn't have trained myself in that. So that's
Right.
what ayahuasca has brought to me, along with many, many other teachings and lessons and guidance. But most importantly, this aspect.
When you say entity clearing, and I'm watching your videos and you're you're on the floor with the people and is that them releasing? How do you, when you explain entities, and does everybody have entities?
No, not everybody has entities, but a lot of people do. So, just to explain this, like to pull back and explain where does this come from, right? There are there is darkness within us that is our yin and yang, right? Our night and day. Our happy and our sad. It's all as it's meant to be. It's the dual nature. But there is distortion. There is a darkness which is evil and distortion, which is not organic to the earth template. It's not organic to the human being. That's not to say dark and light isn't. It's like night and day, happy, sad.
Right.
It's like that is all in balance. But outside of that, there's also evil and distortion and chaos, which is not the true blueprint of creation.
Right.
And there are people that want to control the dreamscape, the matrix, through chaos and through trauma and through destruction. And these people, if you can call them people, are infiltrated by essentially parallel realities, dark beings who are trying to penetrate the earth realm to control human souls because our life force is powerful. So there are dark people, dark beings hiding in places of power and control. As I know you know, Ashley, places in government, but beyond government, higher than government, shadow controllers of the world. They
Hmm.
are working in black magic, and they are calling upon help from beings outside of the earth that are not benevolent. They are evil. But love is the medicine that alchemizes all things. So we have nothing to worry about because love is our true nature. But they can bring disruptive, disharmonic frequencies into the paradigm of human beings and souls here to experience life on earth. They can bring destruction and chaos through frequency. So music holds frequency, and
Hmm.
all you have to do is turn on Taylor Swift. My kids were listening to this song that was like, I don't like your little games. It was evil. The sound of it was evil. And they're marketing this at children.
Hmm.
Then there's the Netflix is showing murder and chaos. And so they're putting these disruptive frequencies, pornography, alcohol, drugs, the nightclubs that I was attending, disharmonic frequency into all of this. And it's disrupting the nervous system. And it's actually bringing with it a certain frequency that can land where there is resonance within the being, right? So these frequencies are of chaos, hatred, and evil, essentially, and fear. So for you and I, we can listen to Taylor Swift or we can watch Netflix and our heart is open, we're anchored in love. We can see the truth of what it is. It's of no impact. It's like, you know what? I don't like this and I'm going to turn it off.
Right.
Or I'm going to fast forward this scene. It doesn't feel good in my body because we have awareness. But before we had awareness, what did we have? Probably unresolved trauma and pain and unconscious thought forms that were detrimental to ourselves. So let's say, I'm going to give like a more strong example. Let's say, like, a woman is the victim of sexual assault. The thought forms that she would have in her body during those horrible acts of self loathing, of hatred towards the perpetrator. This is all energy within her body. And if she doesn't heal and release and let go, it stays, right? And then when she listens to music and receives the vibration, there's resonance. And
Ah,
all of this frequency warfare feeds the trauma within the body, if that makes sense.
yes.
So, what happens in the somatic body work that you're seeing in the videos of Intuitive Rebirth is trauma healing, right? Or just feeling shame, very human, very real emotional experiences. Feeling shame or feeling anger, feeling sadness about things that we've experienced in this lifetime or as children. And then when we go deeper and deeper into the layers of the feeling, oh, deeper and deeper and in and in and in, at the root, once we've felt and released all of that, at the root underneath the trauma is the hook of something inorganic. Often, not always, but often, something inorganic that has been feeding off that distortion. And what I see is a being, usually like a being, a dark being, a distorted being.
Huh.
And it's a parasite, right? It can only exist in secret. Like the parasites in our colon, they can only exist in secret. Once we're aware of them, we get rid of them.
Right.
And these parasitic energies, they control thought forms. So people have horrible thoughts. I'm sure anyone listening can relate where you've thought something horrible about a stranger and then you're like, what the hell? That's not nice, you know? Um, so once these frequencies are exposed, they pretty much are done. But the real alchemy exists in seeing what's been hiding, breathing into our hearts, and seeing the truth of what's there. Not something to be afraid of, but fear itself. And fear holds no power in the presence of love. And just like that, it's done.
Mm.
And we have to go through the layers of trauma to be able to make that lasting shift. And I'm speaking about this not to invoke fear in anyone that's listening, but quite the opposite. Because entity clearing is not a secret gift. It is literally something that we can all do. I just want to share the power of our love and that there is literally nothing to fear. So if anyone is listening and this invoked a little bit of a fear response because you think, oh my gosh, I think I have that, right? Or, oh my gosh, I think I've seen that in my partner. Do what I said before about the heart breath. Come deep in, open your heart and expand that natural. You don't even have to try and feel love because you are love. Just feel you. You are love. And as you do that, you become higher and higher in your energy. And anything that you've just exposed through your own awareness and reflection, as I spoke, just feel yourself completely transforming that energy with your own powerful presence.
Oh, I love it. You're so gentle and like mesmerizing. I'm like I'm absorbed into your energy. Well, like we were talking at the beginning about our timing and the last, I mean, for me, when I look back and I was looking at your Instagram, just at dates and realizing even in the last month of our earth and the energy that I've felt. And when you come out and talk about children, because your babies are little, and what we've been programmed, and I had my children when I was 37 and 40, so I was very an in-tuned, intentional parent, and still drank the Kool-Aid, because you're the society that we lived in and or live in. But the veil thins, as they are now, 16 and 19, I see the bigger picture. I have a knowing. Once you know, you can't not know, right? But
Yeah.
I would love for you to talk about, because when I said earlier, like, I think we're on the same, I resonate with all of your beliefs on what's going on this earth. And especially when you talk about the energies that are trying to keep us down, or the things that we've been told or what we're supposed to do, and how we've been living on this earth. But now finally, like, it's where when I say I know, you can't not know now when you know. So when I live now, everything is a resonance. Like, I know, like we said, like you were explaining, like, that's truth and in alignment with what is real and true to who you are and what really is the truth, and then what's not. So all of a sudden, all these things that are coming that probably could have been back in the, 10 years ago, were all played out on the stage, and we had the blindfolds on. But now so I want you to explain the energy going on in this earth right now. I want you to tell us what you see as the stage that we're watching. I don't watch the news, but I feel the energy.
Mhm.
I see the pain that you feel with children. I have the pain that I feel. I can't even watch anything about animals. Like, it's like I have to turn. I can't watch something that someone's getting, where I know that the entities or the darkness, I see it. So will you explain? Because I'm with you. You speak to me in alignment with everything that I, to my core, know is true.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it is painful. It is painful to see the evil as it plays out against a beautiful, compassionate human race and helpless animals and vulnerable children. But as I just said with the entities, they can only exist in secret. The the dark shadow controllers can only exist in the shadow. So the trauma and the chaos woven is orchestrated through people on people, people versus people, people hurting people, because the actual shadow controllers don't reveal themselves enough to commit outright acts of atrocity against the human populace. So they orchestrate left versus right, black versus white, man versus woman, this country versus that country. They orchestrate chaos and disruption. So liberation for human beings and the complete coming home to the true nature of this human family exists when we see the true evil, the true enemy, which is that head of the spider, right? If the entity is all the different legs and the feet of the spider sticking into all those trauma points of every man, woman, and child, affecting their thought forms and manipulating their consciousness. We need to take our awareness not off that leg in self, but look at the head of the spider, that secret control mechanism that is orchestrating chaos through this beautiful Mother Earth. When we look at that head of the spider, we expose it. And all of a sudden, we start to see that the chaos woven is just a game. It's not real. The wars, this country versus that country, the politics, him versus him, the ideas of sexism, him versus him, racism, him versus him, feminism, whatever. It's not real. These are spells woven into the masses to distract us from the true enemy against consciousness. But all of these divisive wars are purposefully fed into society to distract us from the true enemy. And once the true enemy is in sight, it cannot exist. When an entire population of humanity looks to the head of the spider with an open heart and says, I see you and I'm not afraid, a new paradigm is born. So what do I see now? I see the distortion of all the this side versus that side being exposed. And I'll give you a real life example of how I see this. You know, this Charlie Kirk assassination, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. So the first thing I see is if he were truly a pillar against the system, why are his videos everywhere? If he were truly a pillar against the system, why is his assassination on every mainstream media news outlet and every alternative media news outlet? His existence fuels divisiveness, right?
Right.
His existence fuels divisiveness. I'm with him, the Christian values, the fundamental, um, simple ideas of family and truth or whatever. And then the against. I stand against him because he doesn't understand me and he doesn't see the many different expressions of human nature, right? And I see the truth in both of these sides. There's truth in both of these sides. But these massive displays are theatrics. Whether Charlie Kirk is in on it or a victim of it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But this theatrics is orchestrated. And if it weren't orchestrated, there wouldn't be a memorial that gathered that much attention all over mainstream media, alternative media. It's theatrics that aims to divide. So instead of looking at the divisive act and asking what side is true, both are true and neither are true. Look to the head of the spider that is orchestrating this game of separation and say, I see you. I see you trying to separate me from my human brothers and sisters, and I do not engage. The same goes for the war in Israel and Gaza. There is the obvious genocide in Gaza, and the ones who fail to recognize, who stand with the pain of the hostages. That pain is true. And obviously, the scars and pain is very true. Stop looking at this side versus that side and look to the head of the spider that wants separation. Then there's Donald Trump, whether you've hated him all along or you perceived him to be the savior, the MAGA savior who's going to drain the swamp, whatever your perspective, he doesn't get to where he's getting. He doesn't get positioned in that position of power unless he was intended to look to the head of the spider that is creating division and come together as one human family, because we are all fundamentally the same. We are love. Whether you're Israeli, Palestinian, whether you're gay or straight, whether you're trans, a teenager, a grandmother, whether you're a Christian, whatever, it doesn't matter. We are all fundamentally the same, which is love. Love of family, love of children, love of one another, love of creation. And we're all being guided to remember that innate truth. And some of us are being guided through the pain of separation, through the pain of separation. So where we see pain of separation, we hold our hearts open and we see that compassion. We have compassion. We do not judge. But I see this earth, this humanity, at a pivotal time where all those games of distraction and separation are being exposed in a way never before seen. And it's painful right now because even those of us who are totally awake are having our minds blown like, shit, that's a lie too. That's a lie
Yeah.
too. That's a lie too. And the
Right?
layers of the
Oh,
game just keep unraveling. And there is only one ultimate truth, which is that we are all love. And we are being fast tracked into that remembering. And I think this is a time where we literally, Instagram serves no purpose. It's like we got to get off the social medias. I've always been on social media. This month I can't stand it
right.
because it's like I think actually a lot of these spiritual influences that we're seeing are actually strategically placed.
Hmm.
And rather than looking at whose story do I believe, we got to look to the head of the spider. Remember the love that we are, and we need to detox from outside information
Right.
that is having us polarized.
Right. Oh, see, I wouldn't have had this conversation if we met when we were supposed to, right? Because this
Right.
all happened after. Well, it's building so strong right now that I'm so glad you got to explain that. Just are we almost done? Shoot, that went by so fast. But can you explain? Um, I was just at a retreat this weekend here in San Diego, and there was like probably 10 speakers, and there was like four of them that spoke light language. And I know you speak a lot about that and how we're we talked about telepathy, that I've had telepathy tapes, authors and people on my podcast. And at this retreat, Dahlia had her daughter who was a non-speaking autistic. And finally, when she was 11, realized they can spell on one of those boards, right? So I learned so much about, where we're going, where she talks about the hill, that her daughter goes to, where she has all these friends, and that we all are going to be speaking, that we all can be telepathic. We all are. That's who we are. But when you even talk about just what you're saying, like we've all been so dumbed down and programmed to believe that we don't have the magic. But now, when you start to see in 2 days, when I was watching light language and I was watching her explain telepathy and, you know, the UFOs and the AI and all the things that are coming, and we're at this precipice moment in history, and that we signed up for this earth time for the biggest lesson of, in history, really. Like this is a big moment in time that we are part of, that we get to really experience. But can we end on like what you see with the light language and all? Whatever I just said, take what you can and answer it.
Yeah. Yeah. So these languages that we're speaking English, it's part of the hypnosis. There's so many spells in this English language that are woven into the fabric of our daily conversation. you know, like the word understand, which I still use out of pure habit, is to stand under someone, to admit submission. Or, good morning is to wake up and mourn the day ahead. It is very dark language that's been purposefully woven. And there are things that we are trying so desperately to explain through the words that we have available to us that we just can't cut it. And as we elevate in our dimensional experience of existence, we're feeling these energies, we're feeling these incredibly high bliss paradigms. And when I host a retreat, like by like day 4, when we share, there's almost no point sharing. We transcend the sharing circle because we go around the circle and people say, I have no, I have no, I don't know. Like they have an experience that they can't put into words because our language is limited. Our
Oh,
language is to express this dense linear physical paradigm. It doesn't express what we are birthing. So the interesting thing is that the ancient languages, there's so much more expression in the words. So my mother line, my matriarchal line, my grandmother's first language was Welsh. So there's like a very strong Celtic lineage there, and actually the name Rhiannon is Welsh, Rhiannon.
okay.
And there are words in the Welsh language. Um, like there's one called the Bobalagofioi, which is the remembering of the people. So in that language, there's a word that's called the remembering of the people. And it's to describe the conversation that is reflection of the ancestors. There's like a word in the Welsh language.
Wow.
There's another word which is hiraeth, which is the aching in your body for the land of home. We don't have these words in these English, German, French languages, but we have them in the ancient languages. And the ancient languages, there's so many similar sounds, whether it's languages of the Middle East, Sanskrit, Welsh, there are so many similar sounds. Ah, ah, ah. So my youngest daughter, her name she chose her name. I didn't know her name, but when I was pregnant, I found it. Her name is Arwen, Arwen, and it,
Oh,
it basically means divine inspiration, or the divine flow that moves through all things. And the Druids used to chant, Arwen, Arwen, Arwen. And if you think about the Om sound when we chant it in yoga, we actually start with the R sound, right? Like Om. And these sounds are the same. Ah, ah, ah. And what happens is when we clear the trauma in our body, we become these clear, open vessels of connection with the higher dimensions, the heavens and the earth. So, as more and more people do this trauma healing, somatic clearing, they're basically becoming these clear straws, these channels of information and connection. And the wisdom of the earth is rising up through our bodies, where our bodies are open and our throats are open. And the sounds are like, ooh, ooh, ya la 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 la, right? Like lots of these, ya la 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 ya ma da ya la ma ki ya, ya la 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 la, right? These sounds. And the always has been. It always has been the sound of God on this earth. And as we get these sounds coming up, we're remembering the truth of our ancient earth timelines, right?
mm.
At the same time, we're opening our channel and we're connecting to the heavens. And we're getting these higher dimensions colliding with our existence here on earth. These parallel universes, these parallel realities are starting to speak through us. And they have different sounds. So you hear that some people's light language is like a different frequency. It's like,
Uh-huh.
they're attuning to a different parallel universe that's vibrating with them. So there are all these different frequencies of these intercepting light beings that we can attune to and speak like a radio. But actually, when we're open channels, we can all speak the same frequency, which is the ancient truth of the earth, which is very, very similar to these ancient languages. And the earth, she wants to speak through us. And when she really gets going, she speaks in tongues.
Hmm.
When she really gets going, she speaks in tongues, and the Kundalini starts to rise. And when the Kundalini starts to rise and the body fully surrenders, that is the earth like singing you home. And it's like when the jaw goes and it's like, and it's all these la
Yes.
sounds, the sound of God in the earth and our Kundalini connecting us with the heavens.
Oh.
Yeah.
More, please. Thank you. More, please. Oh, Rhiannon, this has been so fun. I just thank you so much for getting up early and connecting and being part of my magic in my soul in these last few days. Being with you and having you in my energy has been just beautiful experience, and I've learned so much from you. Can you tell everybody how to learn more from you? Because I want to learn more from you.
Yes. Yeah, likewise, Ashley. Thank you so much for having me and thank you for visiting me in my dream last night.
I love that. Had you seen me, like, had you looked at Instagram or something? So you had me in
Yeah,
your
yeah, like
subconscious?
absolutely, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I got a little tour of your house, whether it was accurate or not. But we got to hang out before we met.
I love it.
But yeah, for anyone that feels the resonance with what I've shared, the best way to work with me is to take the online program for Intuitive Rebirth. So it's a fully online practitioner training. And even if you are like thinking you're never going to be a practitioner or you're not ready for that, the training takes you through the fundamentals of your own energy mastery. So it's like activating your intuitive channel, your ability to receive messages, activating your ability to feel blocked, stored traumas within the body and how to freely express them. And then how to work in those shamanic realms. So when you're feeling off, you can be attuned to your energy, move through the layers of your own contraction within the body to then free yourself from the distortion in your energy field. So it's a super powerful training, whether you're doing it for yourself or you're a practitioner and you want to learn how to take your clients way deeper. So there's a lot of kinesiologists, Reiki practitioners, breathwork practitioners that just want to know energy more deeply. And it's a great program for that too. So if you go to intuitiverebirth.com and you can get 10% off at the checkout if you use the code community or capitals. So feel free to also connect with me on Instagram, which is just Rhiannon Heins with an underscore or Intuitive Rebirth.
Oh, thank you. So beautiful. I wish I could see what your children look like because I can just, they're like these little, is it two girls or a girl and a boy?
It's two girls like you, hey?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
6
picked
and 4.
you. 6 and 4.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're amazing. I feel like the whole orchestration of mine and Scott's life is very much fueled by their very strong spirits. And
Oh,
yeah,
I can only imagine. I
yeah,
can.
so they're amazing.
Oh, well, thank you again for everything.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It's been absolutely beautiful.